In this video, we got another episode of the series where I rate and improve your guys' teams. You guys will send me your teams on Twitter at x7tanaka. I'll put out a tweet probably once every couple of days, maybe once a week, asking for squads, and then in that tweet, you guys will reply down below with your team and how much MT you guys have, like everyone in this video did, and you guys have a chance to be featured in this video, and I'll give you guys my best suggestions to help improve your team and also my rating out of 10. But if you guys also want to do the same thing, but on the YouTube comment section, just comment down below your guys' squad, how much MT you guys have right now, and I'll try to go through and give as many people suggestions as possible. But looking at the first team here, coming in from, I think it's pronounced Justin, he's got about 360,000 MT, and he does have a really good all-around squad. I mean, you can see Invincible Shaquille O'Neal, who's one of the best cards in the game. He's got Galaxy Yao, a really well-rounded starting lineup. I think you got great offense, great defense. I think for this squad, you probably just want to work on the bench, and for the rating out of 10, I would say like a solid 9 to 9.5. Your bench does, hurt the rating a little bit because this starting lineup is easily a 9.5 to 10, easily out of 10 for sure. And then I would say on the bench, it's probably like an 8 or an 8.5. So that's where you would upgrade, in my opinion, is your backup point guard, and maybe even your backup shooting guard, because I know Earl Lloyd is really good for a free card, but he's only 6'5", and I think for this lineup, you mainly just want to focus on getting a better backup point guard. So whether that's going to be a Luka Doncic, whether that's going to be a Ron Artest, whether you want to spend a lot of it and go for Nikola Jokic, I would probably go for Ron Artest personally, just because I think you want a little bit more size and defense to pair alongside Earl Lloyd and AK-47. I would also recommend maybe looking to get Hero Brand Scalabrine over AK. I think he's a much better small forward, or even a card like a Bill Russell, could play for this type of lineup just because he's got more size and defense. But I think the one big upgrade you need for your backup point guard is Ron Artest or Luka Doncic. And then if you wanted to, maybe get a different small forward like a Hero Brand Scalabrine, I think you could also go ahead and do that. But a really well-rounded team, especially your starting lineup. Looking at the next squad here, coming in from Thomas, he has 1.1 million MT, says he's not a fan of Jonathan Isaac and Scalabrine's jump shot, and Isaac never plays good defense for him. So yeah, he doesn't want Jonathan Isaac or Brand Scalabrine. Those are probably the two cards I was going to recommend for small forward, but if you don't want to go with them, you're probably going to have to spend a little bit more MT to get a guy like a Kevin Garnett. But first off, talking about the rating out of 10, I would say a solid 9. I would say it's a good squad, a solid 9 to maybe 9.5, a very well-rounded team. I don't think you necessarily have anybody in here that's a bad card. Everyone's really solid. Could definitely use some upgrades though. I would say first one is going to be, like I said, go ahead and get Kevin Garnett to play your starting small forward position. I think he'll be a great small forward next to Earl Lloyd and Luka Doncic, because you could definitely use some defense, in that starting lineup, because Shawn Kemp, Earl Lloyd, Luka, none of those guys are elite level defenders. I would recommend Jonathan Isaac for his price, but if you don't like Jonathan Isaac, I would definitely recommend trying out Kevin Garnett. I think he'll be a much better fit than Shawn Kemp. And if you really do like Shawn Kemp, then just bring him off the bench at the backup small forward position. That's most likely what I'd recommend to do. And then for your shooting guard spot, if you want to make a decent upgrade, I would get the Dark Matter Radiant T-Mac. I'm not sure if you play on PlayStation or Xbox, but right now on Xbox, he's about 275 to 300,000 MT. And if you have 1.1 mil, I think it's worth that price tag. If you don't want to go that much, you don't want to splash a lot of MT into a T-Mac, then I'd probably recommend going for a Vince Carter to play over Earl Lloyd or Glenn Robinson. That's definitely up to you. If you like Earl Lloyd, if you like Glenn Robinson more, you can keep both those cards out because they are definitely very solid. And then I would just recommend a better backup point guard, whether that's a Ron Artest, whether that's a Hiro Turkoglu. Even his hero version I think is a lot better than a Sean Livingston. Once again, I would probably recommend Ron Artest. I think he gives you great defense, can still score the ball, and does have a super good jump shot. So those are my suggestions for your squad, but all around still a very well-rounded squad. Looking at the next team though, coming in from BCF, he's got 1.2 million MT and does play on current gen. So a similar lineup with like Taco, Luka. I think your starting lineup is pretty well balanced. I might bring Zion off the bench and kind of do the same thing. Once again, I think for this lineup, you could definitely use a Kevin Garnett or a Jonathan Isaac on the starting lineup just to give you a little bit more defense. You already got Luka Doncic, who's one of the better offensive cards. And I think if you go for a Kevin Garnett or Jonathan Isaac, I think that could be your starting small forward, and then just bring Zion off the bench. For the rating out of 10 though, I would say this is another, 9. I would say probably a solid 9, right? I think it's a well-rounded team. Could definitely use some big upgrades though with 1.2 mil. Like I said, first one, Jonathan Isaac or KG to play small forward, and then bring Zion off the bench. I think for this type of team, once again, your perfect backup shooting guard would be Tracy McGrady. But for this type of lineup, I would also look to get Vince Carter to play your backup shooting guard spot. I think him and Ben Simmons in the backcourt would be a super good duo. And other than that, probably just a better backup center is what you need. So if you want to go get a Kristaps, you want to go ahead, grind for a Rick Smith, right? Try to get him if you're lucky. Maybe go for a Brook Lopez, right? I think those are some great options at the center position. I would probably recommend Kristaps if you want to buy a center card. I think he's probably your best center option. Brook Lopez is also great as well. So cards like Vince Carter, Kevin Garnett, Jonathan Isaac, and Kristaps Porzingis are the cards that I look to get to upgrade your squad. But looking at the next team here coming in from Chris, he's got Rick Smith starting at the 5 now, and Sabonis on the bench, willing to spend 1 million MT. So another really solid squad. I'm just going to assume that Rick Smith is at center, and then Sabonis is at your backup center. So for the rating out of 10, this is another like 9 to 9.5. Like all these squads are kind of in the same, realm range, of rating. I think they're all great teams at about a 9 to maybe 9.5 for this squad. It's like a 9.2 if I had to be really, really specific. But for the suggestions, I'm not the biggest fan of Sean Elliott. I think he can play on your squad. You did get lucky enough to get him in the vault, so I'd move him to your backup shooting guard and get rid of Caron Butler. For your starting shooting guard, once again, it comes down to how much MT do you want to spend? Do you want to go ahead and get a Tim Thomas, his normal interdimensional version? Do you want to spend, 250, 300K on a Radiant T-Mac? Do you want to go save a little bit, get a Vince Carter? I think that's up to you. I would probably, if I had 1.5 mil in this type of team, I would recommend going for interdimensional Tim Thomas or going for Tracy McGrady, the Radiant version, to play next to Nikola Jokic. And then I think your starting lineup is pretty much complete. You can maybe upgrade power forward if you wanted to, but I think Hakeem is perfectly fine. And then off the bench, what I would do is get a better backup point guard, whether it's a Luka, Ron Artest, Hiro Turkoglu, his hero version. I think all of those cards are a lot better than Sean Livingston. And then what I'd also do, so I'd probably go Luka, right, for your backup point guard position, because then for your backup 3, I would recommend going ahead and moving the Galaxy Football Big Z to your backup small forward position to play alongside Alonzo Mourning and Sabonis. And me personally, I would upgrade Sabonis to a Kristaps Porzingis or even a Brook Lopez. I think both those guys are much better at center than Sabonis, but if you do like Sabonis, you can definitely still run him. So your starting lineup could look something like Jokic, T-Mac, Jonathan Isaac, Hakeem, Rick Smith, and then your bench could be Luka, Sean Elliott, Big Z, Alonzo Mourning, and let's say Sabonis or Brook Lopez. I think that's a really good 10-man rotation and a much improved squad over the team you currently have. But looking at the next squad here, coming in from Mumbo, he says he needs a lot of help and has 1 million MT. So I'm just going to give you my best 10-man rotation that you can build, and you can, always change out players if you want to, but with 1 million MT, and this is the squad that I would build. So I'd go Luka Doncic, starting point guard. I would go Ron Artest, backup point guard. For your 2 shooting guards, I'd probably go Radiant T-Mac and Vince Carter. For your 2 small forwards, I'd go Jonathan Isaac and Hero Brian Scalabrine. For your 2 power forwards, you already have Bull. Sorry, didn't see Bull in the lineup there. So I would start Bull. Yeah, I'd start Bull and then bring... Yeah, I would start Ron Artest over Luka. So go Ron Artest, Tracy McGrady, Bull, Taco Fall, and then Dikembe. That's what I do for your starting 5. And then off the bench, you would go Luka, then you would go for Vince Carter. Backup 3, I'd recommend getting Jonathan Isaac. Backup 4, I think you can probably keep Artis Gilmore, and then maybe just look to get a Brook Lopez, a Kristaps to play your backup center position. So those are my suggestions for your squad. Looking at the next team here, coming in from, I think it's pronounced Zarya. I could be wrong, so I do apologize if I am pronouncing your name wrong. He's got 200,000 MT for a budget, a pretty good squad all around. I mean, this is like a 9.5, easily out of 10. Could definitely upgrade your backup shooting guard and your backup small forward. And I think some very simple suggestions: Vince Carter over Ray Allen, Jonathan Isaac over Sean Kemp. Very simple, nothing too crazy. I just think that'll improve your lineup a decent amount and are much better than a Ray Allen and a Sean Kemp. But looking at the next squad here, the last squad is going to be from my man Aryanad. Probably mispronouncing that, I do apologize, but 1.2 million MT to spend on his team. I think for you personally, the rating out of 10 is probably like a 8.5 to 9. I definitely think you can make some upgrades. I think for your 2 point guard position, once again, I would go Ron Artest and I would go Luka Doncic. For your 2 shooting guards, I think that's perfectly fine with Tim Thomas and Big Z. For your 2 small forwards, I like Jonathan Isaac. I think you could definitely move Bob Pettit there to play your backup 3. I think that's perfectly fine. I'd also bring Luke off the bench because you need some offense off your bench. For your power forwards, I like Taco. Hakeem's fine. You could get a Dirk, a D-Rob. Those are also great power forward cards. And then for your 2 centers, I'd probably go Kristaps and Brook Lopez off the bench. But yeah, guys, that's going to be another episode of this series where I rate and improve your guys' teams. Let me know in the comment section down below what squad you guys currently have and how much MT you guys also have as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.